Hello Ready Steady Freefromers, it's time for another video, and this week we are going to make a raw Bakewell tart. Let's get cooking. So to this saucepan I am going to add 1 cup of frozen cherries, and I am going to add 2 tablespoons of honey. The sweetness is to taste, so we may need more honey, but I think 2 tablespoons might be enough, unless the cherries are very sour. I'm going to put this on the heat. Now this is the first step of the Bakewell tart, so it's the jam. So we need to make it so that it's ready to cool down. So I'm just going to put it over a gentle heat. We're looking essentially to just combine the honey and the cherries together, get them to thaw out and to squish down a little bit to make it kind of a jam consistency. Now I'm deliberately not adding any water to this because I want it to be a thicker consistency. I'm not going to be adding any thickener to this, so it's just going to literally be like a cherry sauce. So I'm just using my potato masher to mash these cherries down, and you can see it's quite a thin liquid at the moment with all that cherry juice coming out of the cherries. So we're just going to leave it on the heat to reduce it down. And then when we get to the right consistency, it's not so runny, we'll take it off the heat. Okay, so I've taken it off the heat. It's only been on a few minutes. It is still seemingly watery, but what you will notice is it's more syrupy than it is watery. And so it's kind of hard to demonstrate how thick it is, but it has gone thicker. So I'm erring on the side of caution because I don't want this to be too thick. I do want some moistness to it for the Bakewell tart. I'm going to pop it into a bowl and let it cool. Okay, so we're going to make the base of the Bakewell tart, and we have 1 cup of almonds. They don't have to be skinned. I've just skinned them because I find them quite difficult to tolerate with the skins on. And then we've got 1 cup of dates here. I've soaked these so just to help them be a bit moist. And these are unsweetened dates. Then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. And now we're going to whiz this up. Right, so I have a pie dish here. This is a 9-inch pie dish. I'd probably go with something a little bit smaller than this if I had one, but this is the one that I want to use, so this is what I'm going to use. You're probably going for about an 8-inch if I'm honest, and if you want to use a springform pan, you can do that. The mixture here has been ground down. I would advise after doing this that I should have done the almonds first on their own and broken them down a lot before I put the dates in, because the almonds are a lot harder to break down once they're stuck in with the dates. So that's a top tip for you from what I've learned. Also, you can soak the nuts if you want to. It's really about your digestion and what you can cope with. So if you're struggling with nuts, then soaking them for at least a couple of hours or even overnight can really help you to digest those nuts. So there we go. So we're just going to spread this down, and then we're going to pop it in the fridge. So now I've spread this all out. It's quite thick as a base, so if you went for a smaller pan or dish, then it would be thicker. So this might be about right. We'll see how the other ingredients turn out. This is a dish I've never made before, so we'll see what happens. So we'll put this in the fridge now. Now we've got the base made, we've got the jam made, and so the next thing we're going to do is make the middle layer. Now this is kind of like a marzipan layer from what I've seen from the recipe. So we've got 1 cup of ground almonds. Now these are quite fine, so you could go for almond meal maybe and grind that down a bit. I'm not sure if almond flour would be too fine. If you've made marzipan, then use whatever you would normally use for that. Then we have 3 tablespoons of honey, and then we have a teaspoon of almond extract. Now you'll notice that all of the utensils I'm using are dirty. That's because I'm using the same utensils and the same food processor that I used for the dates and the almonds, because who needs all that washing up in your life? We need 1 pinch of salt. And now we're going to blitz it and combine it. Okay, so I've made the marzipan mixture. You can see from this that it's not very much. And so I'm going to try and spread it out, which is quite tricky because it's quite thick and it's quite sticky. So this may take me a few minutes. And I think it's going to be quite a thin layer. And I've just checked the recipe and it says an 8-inch pan, which would make the base too thick, I think. But I can't even see how this mixture would become that much thicker on an 8-inch pan. Okay, so I have managed to spread it across. I think it's maybe a couple of mil thick, and it was not easy and I had to use my fingers. So I'm going to put it in the fridge now, and then I'm going to check on that jam. Right, so we are now going to put the cherry jam on top of this. And again, it doesn't look like it's enough. I would have more personally, but we'll see what this looks like. More importantly, we'll see what it tastes like. The jam's a really nice consistency actually. Right, there we have it. So let's cut ourselves a slice and give it the cheeky taste test. I can tell you now, it doesn't look like anything that was the picture in the recipe. So, okay, just scrape away the jam there. So we can see the layers. We can see the date mixture, we can see the marzipan, and obviously the jam. So let's do the cheeky taste test. I really don't know what this is going to taste like. And part of me doesn't really fancy the thought of this. Ooh. It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It's really nice. It's really interesting because it's a raw recipe. Obviously nothing's cooked. Nothing's crunchy. It's all kind of the same texture. So the date and nut mixture, I am chewing quite a bit more because of that, because I've got lumps of nuts in it because I didn't grind the almonds down enough before I put the dates in. So there's more texture in that layer. The marzipan layer is nice and smooth. I don't actually like marzipan. I've always peeled it off of cakes in the past when I've eaten cakes like that in the past. But the marzipan layer is lovely. The almond flavour for me is the perfect amount of almond taste, that marzipan-y taste, and that's lovely. And the cherry on top of it complements it beautifully, so it's really nice. I think I am going to make another batch of jam and pop it on top of this, and then I'm going to store it in the freezer, I think. Definitely more cherry needed, and I think that it would be nicer in a square or a rectangle pan, so you could cut it into little squares, because I think a whole slice of this, I mean, I'm only eating a half of the slice that I cut, and because it's quite rich, but it is very tasty. It is really nice. And when I saw the recipe for a Bakewell tart, I do like a Bakewell tart, and so this one is kind of going to be encouraging me to make a more traditional Bakewell tart, where you have a pastry layer, then the jam, then an almond sponge, and topped with flaked almonds. Yeah, that's the business. But this is a nice standby. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. So, if you like the look of this, if you like Bakewell, or you like that almondy taste, and you want a raw dessert or a snack, this is a good one. So, like, comment, share, and I will see you next time in the kitchen.